I think all of us have understood now that the problems you were talking about are so complex that it's not possible for an individual to understand, let alone for an organization to solve. And we know that we are living in a time where paradigms are shifting. We are still, probably most of us are still using the old paradigm, very often the old Newtonian paradigm, to analyze things, find a reductionist way of solutions, and then proposing that solutions to our clients. Although we know that most of the old approaches do not work anymore. We are just starting to realize what that could mean, but it's very difficult for our brains to really comprehend that. So I feel that we're switching between old and new paradigms and haven't yet really found our place as facilitators of change. There is some idea how we can deal with it, how we can simplify the situation that we are so much in complexity. There's so much dealing with the difficulties, dealing to understand, dealing to tell our clients how can we actually work with that. And this is a nice model of David Snowden, Cognitive Edge. Maybe you have seen it some months ago in the Harvard Business Review, which says there are 4 different areas of complexity. There are areas in which we as change managers can work with standard operating procedures, because it's so clear. We have done it several times. We have understood what we need to do, so it's no need to think in terms of complexity, but just to use normal, simple ways of working. There are situations where it's difficult for us to understand what's the connection between cause and effect. These are the situations where scenario analysis, for example, can help, because we can understand, okay, what are the connections between what we are doing here and the future, which is starting to emerge. The famous work of Shell, of course, in the 70s and 80s with scenario analysis would figure into that. There are, however, and if I listen to your examples here, there are more and more situations which are characterized by complexity, by an increasing complexity, where scenario analysis, let alone standard operating procedures, do not work anymore, where a single mind, a single person is not able anymore to understand and to comprehend it, where we probably are only able to understand the connection between what we are doing and what's happening afterwards, posterior. So only things like after our action review might help us to understand, but basically to create solutions, we are not able to do that alone anymore. We need to engage both systems. And there's a 4th area which is not noble. Which is not noble, where we can just act and can see what the response of the system is. It's basically going into crisis management. How does that apply for our work? There is a second model, which is the model of Ralph Stacey, also from the UK, like Dave Snowden, which says when we deal with organizations, we can look at 2 different categories, 2 different variables of the system. The one variable is, are we, with what we want to do in the system, are we close to certainty? Have we analyzed the system good enough to understand how it will react? So do we believe that our solutions are the right solutions? It's basically going back to what Dave Snowden says before, the simple solutions. And the other axis is close to agreement. Do the people we work together with in an organization, in a society, in a company, do they agree to what we propose to do? There are situations where it's clear what we need to do and everybody agrees to it. So it's not necessary to apply any change management approaches. We just go ahead again with standard operating procedures. We can apply classical project management and things like that. There are, however, very often situations where, again, we have analyzed what we want to do, what we need to do. We are pretty sure of the solutions, but there is no agreement with the people we work with. The typical situation are cost-cutting measures in organizations where the requirement is there to cut costs. But people, of course, unions or whoever, would not agree to that. So this is a situation where we really need a lot of communication strategies, where we need buy-in strategies, change agents, persuasions, negotiation skills, and so on. It also fits to a couple of environment situations. I mean, we are very clear about that we have to do something on the environment, and some things are very clear. We have to cut carbon dioxide emission, but there's a big disagreement, of course, how to do that. There are other situations where we know that we need to move ahead, but it's not clear what we need to do. And this is a situation where we need to engage much more stakeholders. So we're really moving into the area of change management here. And there is a big area where it's not clear what we need to do, and it's not clear who will be our partners in the process. And this is the situation we are moving more and more into organization, and this is the situation where I believe that we need more tools. And in the 90s, as the movie showed, that was for me the time, of course, of whole systems change. All the methods like appreciative inquiry, Word Cafe, open space technology were really popular at the time, and they still are. But are they enough? Are they sufficient to give an answer to the problem we are facing nowadays? Is it sufficient to involve 100, 500,000 people on global environmental problems and on global educational problems, on conflicts and so on? Or aren't the forces of the system stronger to fight back if we just apply these local solutions? We are moving very much into a situation where most of the problems we face can only be solved by co-creation, by engaging stakeholders, by engaging people in working with the system. And we as facilitators have to understand what is emerging in forms of tools, what is emerging in forms of self-organization, what is emerging in terms of possibilities, also in terms of risks. But I think if we want to work successfully with organizations, with larger systems, we cannot but learn what is happening in the moment in the web.